business, your truck, and your road to success in the trucking industry. This is Trucking Business and Beyond, the show that puts the money where it belongs, back in your pocket.
Welcome to my world. I'm your host, Kevin Rutherford. The website is letstruck.com. The show is all about the business of trucking, and today is Destination Health. My co-host is Kim Cockerham. We'll take your calls and answer your questions about everything health. Food, fitness, nutrition, diet, lifestyle, exercise, drugs, disease, training, you name it. We'll talk about it. All you have to do is pick up the phone and ask the question. We're going to get to those questions in just a little bit. Kim, welcome.
Hi, Kevin. So glad to be here.
Yeah, me too. You know, one of the things I'm looking forward to this year, 2018, I've been talking about this a lot. There's just a lot of really good news right now. You know, the economy seems to be doing really well. The stock market is doing so well, it's starting to worry me. We are like setting stock market records every single day. I can remember when I first started getting involved in finance, and I went to a big financial seminar, and I was actually there in the seminar on the day they started referring to as Black Monday. We had a huge meltdown in the market on the first day of the seminar. It was kind of interesting. But back then, if I remember right, the Dow was in like the 6,000 or 7,000 range and took a big hit. The Dow is now over 25,000. That is just numbers I never thought we were going to see, not in my lifetime. So I'm almost a little worried about the market itself, the stock market, because sometimes when we get to this point, it's the sign of maybe a bubble. But the economy is doing really well. The fundamentals are good. We just got this big tax break we talked about on our last Destination Health show, and I've talked about on every show, because this is a big deal. It's a big deal for business. It's a big deal for our country. Our economy is complicated. Anybody that tells you for sure, well, because of that, this is what's going to happen, they're either fooling themselves or they're just lying. It's next to impossible to predict something as big as our economy. But the signs are good. So I'm excited about the industry. I'm excited about us as a company. We're growing. We're helping a lot of people. I want to help more people. And I look at all the projects we've got going on and all the projects I'd like to work on. And I just know this is going to be a really, really busy year. So what I'm excited about is everything I've learned about nutrition and sleep and stress. I think that I'm going to be able to manage that a lot better this year. In the past when we got this busy, my health suffered from it. And I don't want that to happen this time. As much as I want to help people, I can't help anybody if my health suffers. We have to take care of ourselves first. But I'm excited now to know that I understand how you can work that hard and push yourself that way and stay healthy. You have to make time for those other things we talk about. I have to be disciplined on the diet is easy for me. That was just a no-brainer now. And that's the beauty of when you create habits, then they become easy. It's a habit. It just happens. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to work at it. Now I'm working on getting my sleep and my stress habits so that they're automatic. So that, I just meditate every day without even thinking about it. I go to sleep at the same time, get up at the same time, keep good sleep hygiene. I mean, all the things I know, now I need to practice them over and over and over until they become habits. And then I could see how you can really push yourself and put that much time into work and stay healthy doing it.
That's really neat. I was reading a book about minimalist mindset, and I learned, it became apparent to me when we had to move 2.5 years ago, how much crap we let into our life and into
right.
our homes, and And, and so we purged all that. So I was really careful, and I liked it. I mean, suddenly, and you don't realize what clutter might do. And I might even say, too many pictures on a wall, something like that we think is great, but we have to step back and look at it. So I've been really careful down here when we moved of what I bring into our home, into our life, to not clutter it. And, that could be physical things, but there's also other things we let in, like with technology and TV, all that kind of stuff. And there was one line in this book that just really stuck out with me, and it said, if I wanted to add something to my life, I was going to need to focus on what I would be eliminating first. And, you can't just keep adding things to your life, and like that, even with health, all the different things we're learning and prepping for your talk and prepping for home and that kind of stuff. It takes time and it takes a intentional effort. Just like you talking about sleep, you have to intentionally do that, and there might be some things you eliminate from your day to bring sleep up on a priority. And this is just something I've been focusing on this week too, is just to take a look around and be aware and say, okay, where's the priorities at, and what goes down the list or that can be eliminated to make it a priority. Because I'm sure in the past when you did that project after project after project, you didn't even think about health. You just,
right.
You
just push through.
Do it.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, one of the things...
But now we know. Now we know.
Now we know. That's right. And that's the whole point. We want to get better, learn more. But, I think it's more important to do what you know. There's so much we already know that we don't prioritize enough and do. So it's not like you have to learn all this new stuff about health. We know.
Right.
I mean, we just have to do more of it. And... you mentioned, you're right, if something's going to change, it almost always means you have to give something up. And what I gave up to improve my sleep was something that's very, very dear to me, and that is I don't read at night anymore. I love reading. But
it probably comes back.
Go ahead.
Because you're rested, then because you're rested, I bet it comes back to you. Like, you think you're giving it up, but I bet you find for all you teach us, you read so much, but you probably find a different.
Yeah, I just have to put it
because you feel better all around in general.
Yeah, I have to put it into a different place in my day. It seemed logical, with all the reading I do, to read late at night. There's nothing else going on. There's nobody distracting me. I can read anywhere, so I would read in bed. What I realized was, though, reading even like a trashy novel, almost any reading stimulates my mind. And that stops me from sleeping as well. So as much as I love reading and as much as I thought that was a great use of my time to read at that time of night, when I stopped it, my sleep improved. So, but what I do find, you're right. Now, because my sleep is so much better, the time that I do set aside during the day to read is more productive. I don't have to read the same thing 4 times before I finally get it. My mind's clear, it's sharper, so my time is more efficient. Whereas reading late at night when I was already tired, I wasn't retaining as much. It was keeping me awake because I would start thinking about ideas and things. And so that was a big thing, though. That was hard for me to say, no, I'm not going to read. I've been reading at night my whole life. I started reading a lot in 3rd grade. And reading in bed is something I've done my whole life. But now I realize it's just not a great practice.
Yeah. Well, that's great. That's great that you
Yeah, I have
did
been...
that. So that's what I'm reflecting on.
I've been very disciplined about when it's time to go to bed, whatever time I set. And 10 to 10:30 seems to work pretty well for me. Nothing else. I walk into a dark bedroom, get in bed, and go to sleep. No other distractions, in the bedroom when it's time to sleep. And I'll tell you one other simple thing that I'm going to do some more testing on this, but I don't think it's a fluke. Remember I told you I hit 100 twice on the sleep score?
Oh, yeah.
I went back and I tried to figure out everything that might have been different those days, and then I tried something, and I didn't get 100, but I got two really high scores again, and I did this with a couple days in between. Taking a shower at night before I go to bed instead of in the morning helps my sleep. It seems like quite a bit. And there's some science behind this that part of the whole sleep trigger, your body temperature actually starts to drop. And as your body temperature is dropping, that's part of the sleep trigger and the sleep cycle. So by taking a hot shower and raising your body temperature, then it forces itself to cool down, and the cool down process starts that sleep cycle. So there is some science behind this, and I've read it many times, and I thought, oh, that's not going to make much of a difference. But now with these really accurate sleep trackers I'm using, so far it looks like it is making a pretty significant difference. So I'm going to do some more testing on that one. And there's the music, so we'll get to a break. We'll come right back. We're going to get to your calls and questions. Stick around. Kevin Rutherford. Welcome back. I'm Kevin Rutherford. This is Destination Health. Kim is here with me. We're talking about sleep again, one of our big topics. So, Kim, I've said this before, but it's turning out that sleep and stress, they're tied very closely together. It's a lot like everything we learned about diet. Our current lifestyle is almost everything about our lifestyle is screwing up our sleep. And there's no magic bullet. There's no one supplement you're going to take that's going to help you sleep better. It's doing the right things consistently over and over and over, and the longer you do them, the better things get.
Yeah, I agree completely. And all of us could use that.
Yes, absolutely. So, anything else? Should we get to some calls?
No, let's get to some calls.
All right, let's do that. Let's get started in Texas. Cheryl, welcome to the program.
Hey, thank you. Hi, Kevin. Hi, Kim. Happy New Year.
Hey there.
Hey, Cheryl.
Hey, I got a couple of unrelated questions for you, and the first one's got a brief feel-good story. I volunteered at a local animal shelter when I found myself with a forced 12 days off there around Christmas to New Year's, and I rescued this little dog that came in. She had a broken leg, and she was scheduled to have the leg amputated. The vet and the shelter felt that was the cheapest and logistically simplest, thing for them. And I just couldn't let it happen. Family, friend, landlord at the vet, and he said, look, yeah, $4,000 surgery is a bit much, but I've got an $800 procedure. Get me the x-rays. I think we'll see if we can save her leg. Long story short, I brought her home. She's got 6 pins stuck through her leg, but she's got all 4 of them, and she's recovering. And I've been trying to find information on what can I add to her food to really help promote this healing. And I thought, I know a guy who probably has some ideas. She's a little husky mix, too.
Okay. So, the one thing I'll tell people is just like when it comes to, true medical procedures with humans. That we have doctors for a reason. I'm not completely anti-medical. For trauma, surgeries, things like that, we have an amazing medical system. Doctors are good people. We just have a broken system. So I don't try to be, a medical professional. I deal with nutrition and health. So,
right.
I'll speak in general. I don't know what we're supposed to do for a dog for aftercare. I'm sure they gave you lots of instructions. I try to keep this really simple. I would try to feed the dog the most nutrient-dense food it will eat. And that's the same thing I do for my dog every single day. So, salmon, make sure it's completely cooked. You don't ever want to feed a dog, like I eat my salmon rare or raw sometimes, sushi. You never want to give a dog undercooked salmon. Yeah. So make sure when you cook salmon, and I'll tell you something most dogs absolutely go nuts over. If you get a nice big salmon fillet and you take the skin off of it and then put it in an oven on like 200 degrees and just let it go in there, and it'll get really dry, and brittle. My dog goes nuts over those things. Like there's no place in the house I can hide them that he doesn't sit there and stare at the door because he knows they're there. So, I
overcooked my salmon fillets, and I gave her the skin, and it was like the pig ears. It just didn't last as long.
Exactly. And there's lots of nutrition in there, and they can eat the salmon. But, beef liver, chicken liver, I almost any time I feed Diesel, I'll pour a little bone broth over his food. So they're getting the nutrients from the bone broth. And so, all those same things that we know are nutrient dense. I just lean more towards protein than fat. So in my diet, I always lean towards fat first.
Okay, that was what I was wondering.
Yeah, go easier on the fat with dogs and go heavier on the protein.
Okay, and then what about sprinkling some collagen gelatin in there too to help with the bone healing?
That's fine.
Would that help?
Yep, and probiotics. You can open up probiotic capsules, sprinkle those on their food.
She's on antibiotics to prevent the infection.
Right.
Like I said, there's 6 rods going through her leg.
Yeah.
She's trying to hold it, holding it together. And,
Yeah, so you could go heavy on the probiotics to help cover that. I'll tell you another thing that Diesel absolutely goes nuts over. It's a nightly thing. There's no way I could ever skip a night. I buy marrow bones that are sliced thin. So, most of the time they're about the size of a silver dollar and maybe a quarter to a half-inch thick. They're sliced that way. I get them from a company called U.S. Wellness Meats.
Okay.
And they have a bunch of different bones. These are called thin marrow bones. And I buy 20 bags at a time, and I put them in the freezer. And I just pull them right out of the freezer and give them to Diesel. It's like a bone marrow popsicle, and he goes absolutely nuts over those. The bone marrow is really good for them, and the natural bone, when they chew on it, keeps their teeth clean. So it's just a really healthy treat for them. Okay,
I'll look that up. Excellent, thank you. And the final part of this feel-good story is. But the vet, like I said, he's a family friend. He's helping out. He's going to try to handle as much of this at cost as possible. And I managed to raise $600 through GoFundMe to contribute to it. Yeah, she's just awesome. She's only 18 months old. She deserved a better shot. She seems to love the truck. She's ready to get in and out, even though I can't let her. So I think it feels good. It's a great start to the year.
Good.
And then, I've got a friend who is, I feel, heading right down that traditional path, including having been diagnosed with gout 16, 17 years ago. He's managed to avoid the traditional what do they call those, biologics?
Yeah.
By following the typical protocol. So no nuts, no this, no that.
Right.
And I'm worried he's having like blood sugar issues about 2, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
We finally found the carb protein combo that he's comfortable eating to try to stave off that 2, 3 in the morning low blood sugar bout. And I'm trying to find a way to convince him that it's not those foods. It seems like, and I remember you talking to somebody. So what can I tell him to convince him that there's a better way and he'll be happier with what he's eating? He does eat a low-fat diet, and he's overweight, and, you know.
Well, the one thing I have very little advice on is how to convince anybody of anything.
There's that. I guess I need the words. I need a better ammunition, I guess, would be the way to put it.
You know, the one thing, if you could get him to do a little research on, is the medical community blames gout on the foods that aggravate gout. And they clearly do. So they'll tell you to avoid beef, avoid seafood, avoid anything with purines. And if you do that, you do get less symptoms.
Yes.
There's no question. The problem that they...
Okay, so they aggravate the gout, but they don't cause it.
Correct. And that's where the confusion comes in.
Good.
Everybody believes, if those foods aggravate it, they must have caused it. No, it's very clear what causes it. High fructose consumption is what causes gout.
Okay. Few arrows in my quiver. Excellent.
Yeah.
I had the bow, and I was taking aim, and I went to grab it in my quiver, and I went, I got nothing.
Yeah.
But pure faith and a general rocking.
Yeah. High fructose, and in the beginning, it does make sense to avoid some of those foods. But ultimately, you want to get those foods back in the diet because they are the nutrient-dense foods. We don't want to be eating low-fat and, avoiding the proteins. But we've got to clear up the gout first. So it's almost the idea of the last caller with diverticulitis. We've got to get rid of a lot of things first to let the body heal.
An elimination diet.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Well, excellent. That's what I needed. Actually, I didn't have the reason. It was like, okay, I know that these foods aren't the cause, but right. I don't remember what the cause was. And so, okay, great. Thank you so much. And you guys, my life has changed for the better across the board between the business and the trucking and my health. And,
excellent.
You guys are leaving an amazing legacy behind. And I'm going to try to spread it as much as I can.
Well, thank you. We appreciate that. There's the music. We've got to get to a break. We'll be right back with more stuff. Stick around. Kevin Rutherford. Welcome back. I'm Kevin Rutherford. This is Destination Health. Kim is here with me, and we're going to get right back to the phone calls. We are heading off to Indiana. Steve, welcome to the program.
Hey, Kevin and Kim. Before I get to the health insurance, Association health insurance plan, the stock market dropped 508 points on October 19th, 1987, from 2246 to 1738. It was 22.6%. And in today's market, that means it would drop down to about 19,500 in one day. So we're about 11 or 12 times greater right now of a market size than we were then. So that tells you, that would be a panic situation. It'd be like these Bitcoin guys were last week when there's
that's right,
40% in an hour,
Yeah.
So, but as far as the association health plans, it's not going to take quite as much as you had said. This was actually an executive order from our president a few months ago, and the story this week was from the Department of Labor. They are formulating the rules.
Oh, okay.
So that this can happen.
Oh, well.
Because it is an executive order, which means that Congress, really has no say in it other than the fact that they could come in and pass a law saying it couldn't happen. But any future president, with the swipe of a pen, could do what Trump has done to all of the Obama bad regulations. They could make it go away, but then I have a feeling pitchforks would be in the future because
that's right.
By then the genie will be out of the bottle. People will have actually really good health insurance at that point that really works for them and not for the doctors and not for the insurance companies, pharmaceuticals. It'll actually work for me and you at that point. So I think you better go ahead and pretty soon try to consider getting together a group. I mean, there's so many groups out here now. Just think the NRA would have 3 million members that would be possibilities going into one health plan.
Right.
OIDA's got 160,000 members. NASDAQ probably has 70 or 80,000 members. I mean, I would imagine small carriers. Think about all the different ones. I mean, you may look at it and find that there's enough associations out there if they're doing their due diligence. So you may want to talk with Dave Owen over at NASDAQ or talk with some of your Mark Reddick or some of the people over at over at OIDA and find out what are y'all's plans because it needs to be done by somebody. If not them, I mean, I'm sure you try to find a little more time in your schedule to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody needs to do it.
The idea has always been on my shelf because it was there once, so it's something that I've talked with other groups about so that we could get our numbers up pretty quickly. We have 60 or 70,000 members on our website. There are a couple big groups I work with that I've thrown around this association idea before, not just for health insurance either, for a lot of things. I think we're still lacking an association in this industry that really focuses on business and education, which is what almost every other association in every other industry specializes in. We don't seem to have anybody that does that.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly right. So I think you're on the right track, but I think you may want to if they come out with these rules in the next 2 or 3 months, I'm hoping to see sometimes later this year viable plans out there.
Yeah.
Because all the big insurance companies, they're going to see a group that size and they're going to see the opportunity to let's get something that'll pattern right. And business people will be looking at the possibility of having HSAs and more catastrophic type policies than having the comprehensive, head to toe, womb to tomb, policies like the government wants you to have.
Well, and that may be the difference, and that may be the reason that I wouldn't align myself with another group, just based on principle alone. If I were to do something, I'm very sure if it works out, because insurance can get tricky, but my want would be that we only offer HSAs and high deductible plans, because I think that's what everybody should have. I think that's what it's going to take to fix this problem in the long term. So I would be hesitant, because a lot of other groups might want to offer all kinds of plans and all kinds of different options, and I think I would go with, look, we're just going to be real clear here. We're going to do what we think is right for everybody, and a lot of people may not like that. So we'll see. You know what? You reminded me. I reported on this a couple months ago, and I said then it was an executive order. I think what confused me is I was scrolling through headlines the other day, and I saw that article where they were formulating the rules, and I tried taking a shortcut. I didn't read the article. I only read the headline, and I assumed they were talking about Congress. But you're absolutely right. I reported it was an executive order.
Yeah, that was the Department of Labor.
Yeah.
They're the ones that would be tasked with doing that. Another thing, if you're going to be, like you say, with principal doing it the way you're looking at doing it, I would urge you, and I'll probably send you an email with contact information. In Wichita, Kansas, there's a group, Dr. Josh Umber has it. He has over 20,000 members in his group there in town. This is for everyday health needs. So you can just have a catastrophic policy and then have his group, but they have all doctors in there. It's $10 a month for children, $50 a month for adults. And you have unlimited visits. You can go in there every day for the year, and you don't have to pay anything extra.
Right.
They have they charge 15 or 20 cents for X-rays. They have all the equipment. They actually dispense the medications for a couple of bucks for a whole 30-day supply.
Right.
Because they negotiate 95% reductions from the pharmaceutical companies. But that an actual group like that for the everyday medical needs, and then a catastrophic for just, God forbid, all of a sudden you find you've got cancer and you got to fight it with hundreds of thousands of dollars of somebody else's money.
Yeah.
And that's what insurance is
right.
Using other people's money. You would have that, and your catastrophic plan would be so inexpensive at that point because you wouldn't have the nickel and dime every day that the insurance company's having to go through all of these claims for small stuff. It would all be for the big stuff at that point. So I'll try to get contact information of his for you because he actually sets these groups up all over the country now. In addition to he's had his group for a number of years there, and they've got some of the best health care in the country right there because of him and his group. And they've got every doctor, every different discipline is in there. So I think, like I say, there's a lot of positivity coming in health care if we get the insurance side of it straight. And that's what's been wrong all along. So that and all the natural stuff and everything that y'all do and the other groups that are more naturally based, like, the NTA, I think the future looks pretty good for medicine overall.
You know, it does, and you bring up some really good points. I love that model. Absolutely love it. So please send me any information you have. I've seen some things like that. I'd like to see this one. If we sat down and I look at the doctor that my son is working for now as an NTP. He's in a doctor's office. She's a full MD. She has all the access to testing. She can write prescriptions if she needs to, but she's a big believer in, the natural side of letting the body heal itself first. That's why she hired Michael to work on the nutrition side. Her vision for her practice is that she has a comprehensive practice all in one place with, things like meditation and acupuncture and nutrition. And she's even talking about having, a cafe in the building that serves that kind of food, and health coaches, so that there's a whole team and everybody's working from the natural approach first, but she has the knowledge and the experience on the medical side. I think that's awesome. I think if you combined that with the idea of the health sharing ministries, which are pretty awesome, and a catastrophic plan, we could make catastrophic plans dirt cheap, and we could have people be a whole lot healthier and drive the cost of healthcare way down.
Definitely.
All right, good stuff, Steve. Thanks for the updates there. I've got to get to a break. The music's playing. Stick around. We'll be right back. Kevin Rutherford. All right, a quick heads up. We're heading into the fourth segment. I may have room for one more question. So if you want to jump in, press 1 on your phone right now, and I should be able to get to you in this last segment. Here we go. Welcome back. I'm Kevin Rutherford. We're down to the final segment. This is Destination Health. I'm going to get right back to some phone calls. Kim's here with me. We're off to Arizona. Rod, welcome to the program.
Hi. Hey, I got a question real quick about one of these elixirs that they're advertising, you know, one of them snake oil things, a cure-all deal, and it comes from the marijuana plant, and it's the part of the plant that doesn't make you high and blah, blah, blah. You just take a dropper full of that, and they claim it knocks down your anxieties, which calms you, which is more or less what you're talking about. We're after better sleep, better rest, less stress.
Right.
Have you heard about it? What do you think about it?
Well, you said it was a quick question, and it was. My answer could be about 2 or 3 hours if we had that much time, because I've read extensively on this, and I've actually done a lot of testing. Yeah. So I will probably take...
I haven't heard you talk about it. That's why I was...
You know,
I hadn't heard you talk about it. That's why I was curious.
Yeah, when I explain it, you'll probably understand why I don't spend a whole lot of time talking about it. There's another thing that I've experimented with extensively for sleep that I don't talk about because drivers can't take advantage of it. I'm in Oregon. Cannabis is legal here. I've said there's no absolute, one supplement you can take that's going to help you with sleep. That's not exactly true. Cannabis works amazing. But I've also verified that it does lower your quality of sleep. So for me, and I know this freaks people out, but I will use cannabis to go to sleep when, like, if I've really worked out too hard and my body is just really sore, or the other day when I thought I was getting sick, everybody around me was sick and it felt like I was starting to get it, and I said I slept for 20 hours and I woke up and I was fine. The way I did that was about every 4 or 5 hours I woke up and ingested some cannabis and went right back to sleep. It's an amazing sleep aid. Now, that's true cannabis with THC. It does get you high, but it is an amazing sleep aid. But I don't talk about it because drivers can't do it. I mean, not even in the legal states, because you just can't have it in your system at all. And it's unfortunate that we've done that. You're allowed to drink alcohol and drive as long as the alcohol isn't in your system when you're driving. That may change, but I think it's going to be a very, very long time. So here's the thing. There are 2 different plants in this group. One is the cannabis plant, which is marijuana, and the other one is the hemp plant. They're very, very similar, except hemp doesn't produce THC. It produces all the other compounds, but there's no THC in hemp, so you can't get high from it. And if you consume a product from hemp, nothing shows up on a drug test because all they're testing for is THC. So the other compound that's in, and there are thousands of compounds in both cannabis and hemp that we know very little about because our government screwed us again, and they made both of these plants so illegal that they were classified the same way heroin was classified, and it was illegal to even do any testing on any of these products. So we know almost nothing. So all of the new research is just that. It's very, very new research because there was no medical testing being done on any of these compounds because it was illegal. So here's what I've found in some limited testing that I've done. CBD oil or CBD extracts are what you're talking about. They are claiming they cure everything from cancer to dementia. And there is some scientific proof behind that. What I've found in some limited testing is if you get the CBD oil from hemp, which is the legal version in all states and drivers could use it, I'm not seeing any big short-term effects. And testing for long-term effects is really difficult. I mean, it's not something I'm going to be able to do. So when I test supplements or, foods or whatever, I'm looking for a real short-term effect. Cannabis is easy. I smoke it and I go to sleep. That's pretty straightforward. And not a whole lot of testing required there. I tried the CBD oil because they said it should reduce anxiety, help you sleep, all those things. When I got the CBD oil from hemp, I saw almost no results short term. If I use CBD oil from true marijuana, that does have traces of THC in it. Now, it's not enough to get you high, but it's enough that it would probably show up on a drug test, so I would never recommend a driver do it. Those I actually get some results from. I don't notice a lot sleep. In fact, there's some evidence that too much CBD could actually interfere with sleep. So you can get different strains of marijuana that some are really high in THC, some are higher in CBD, and they all have different effects. There's a strain on the market out of Colorado called Charlotte's Web that is very, very low in THC, so it won't get you high. It's very, very high in CBD, and they named it Charlotte's Web because there's a story about this, a documentary on TV. A little girl named Charlotte had seizures so bad, they tried everything for years and years. The girl couldn't talk, she couldn't walk, she couldn't learn anything because she was having hundreds of seizures a day. They gave her the oil from this marijuana with the high CBD. She stopped seizing almost immediately. Now she walks, she talks, it's just an amazing story. So it seems to me, with what I've seen so far, that the effects of CBD that are derived from true marijuana seem to be more effective than the CBD oil that's derived from hemp. Now, the hemp products might have long-term benefits, but it's just impossible for me to test those kind of things.
All right, that answers my plan of action. Second part of my question was if it would show up in drug tests. So I think I'll just leave it all alone till more testing comes around. Thanks for your answer.
Yeah, as far as the drug testing, as long as you can buy it in a state that marijuana is not legal. Like in Oregon, you got to be really careful what you're buying because it could have THC in it because THC is legal here. But if you're in a state like Texas where it's absolutely not legal and you can buy CBD oil, then you know for sure it doesn't have THC and it won't show up on a drug test. I've seen some reports and some results where it really does help, and I believe it does. It's just one of those things that I can't show any real quick short-term benefits. So that's about all I can say on that one right now. What are you laughing about, Kim?
I love the show today. It's such a diverse. We have hit about everything. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Love it. I love it. I love the questions that people call in with.
Yeah. They really are good questions. We have people that are out there reading and paying attention to things, and, they're doing their own research. I absolutely love that.
And I keep always telling you before, I'm like, how do you retain this stuff? You do. It's awesome.
Yeah.
You're telling your voice. You love it. You love it.
And I think that's it. When you find that thing that you're, if I had my choice of natural talents, I wish I could sing. But I can't. So, I don't think any help would do me any good in that case. So I'll just be grateful for the natural talent I do have, which is the ability to read, understand, and retain things. I mean, I know that's my strength, and I'm grateful for it. So I'll just leave my singing to the shower
awesome.
and the car.
There you go.
Well, it looks like we're going to have to wrap this up. We had some calls to get to, but we are out of time. So I would encourage everybody, download our app. We haven't talked about our app in a while. Really, really easy to find. Do a Google search for Audio Road app. Audio Road, one word, AUDIOROAD, no space, app. And do a Google search. The top 2 hits. First one will be Android. Second one will be iOS. It's a free app. It does one thing. It does it really well. You open up the app and you can listen to our show. You listen to it live. You listen to all our back shows. You can listen to Destination Health, Questions, The Power Hour. Larry Wingett and I do a monthly podcast now. That one's on the app. Really easy way to listen, and it's free. So go get the app. Check out the website. We're always adding new stuff over there. It's letstruck.com. If you are interested in the tax plan, I've started a group on Facebook so we can keep everything in one place. When you're on Facebook, do a search for Understanding the New Tax Law in Trucking. That'll get you to my group on Facebook. Or go to my page and you should be able to find some links on there as well. Thanks, Kim, and thanks to everybody. We will see you next time. Be safe, be profitable, be fit and healthy. Always do the hard work and master the journey. I'm Kevin Rutherford.